Welcome to Last Week in Wrestling. Something I may or may not continue. You know, a fan guy and I record who really won the wrestling war going back to the wrestling wars between WCW and WWF. However, we have not been recording, but you can still see that on Wednesdays. We're in 1989. There'll probably be a hiatus and then we'll come back with 1990 later in the summer. But since I had the time, I figured I'd watch some more recent wrestling. I've been wanting to do this, even though I'm not a big fan of modern day wrestling. And I'm sure we'll get into the reasons of why as I go through this. And just so you all know, I have not watched modern wrestling much over the last 3 or so years. I've seen things here and there. I've seen some Royal Rumbles, seen a little bit of AEW, not much. Mostly, most of the things I see clips on Twitter. And it's usually bad clips, if I'm being real. If anybody has listened to Who Really Won the Wrestling War, they'll know that I just don't like all the flipping and flying and how meaningless some matches and moves have become. And overall, there's just a lack of creativity when it comes to characters and storylines. But I decided to watch 6 different wrestling shows and companies, I guess. I'm still splitting off WWE into 3 shows: Smackdown, Raw, NXT, and then I'm also doing Impact, AEW, and New Japan for now. I don't think I'm going to stick with all 6 of those because some of these I did not enjoy. And I'm just going to rank them today. I would say I'm going to rank them from worst to best, but in reality, it's going to be ranked from worst to least worst. We'll start with worst, though, which I gave an F to, and that is New Japan Pro Wrestling. It's just, I've always struggled to get into New Japan. Heard about all the great matches, allegedly, but it's just not my style because, first of all, I don't speak Japanese. So I don't always know what the hell is going on, which for me, I need to care about these wrestlers, to care about their stories and care about their matches. And if I can't understand them, it doesn't help. And while that might be unfair, such is life, I think that will come up a lot during this, especially if I keep doing it, is that I need them to make me care about either a wrestler or a story, one or the other, because I can't care about a match too much unless I care about the wrestlers or the story. And in New Japan, I've talked about this a lot on Who Really Won the Wrestling War. I just don't like multiple man tag team matches, whether it's 3-on-3 or 4-on-4 or 5-on-5. 90% of their events have been these multiple tag matches. So yeah, I mean, I gave it an F because I didn't enjoy anything. All the matches were, I cared zero about these matches. The only thing that I really made me care was Jeff Cobb and Kota Ibushi. They made me care because they had 2 tag matches on the shows that I watched against each other, and they're building their feud, and then they ended up in a brawl. So I mean, at least they made me care compared to everything else on these events where I just gave 0 fucks. I also watched the TV show. At least I got a little more there because there was English commentary. But I mean, TJP was on it. Some other people I don't know. Kevin Knight, I think his name was. Barrett Brown. I mean, they did their thing. It was okay, but nothing impressed me enough on New Japan to give it anything higher than an F. I just don't think New Japan is my thing, and I don't know if I will continue to watch that. I mean, it's a toss-up. Do I want to continue watching New Japan or give it up? Or do I want to continue watching the next show, Impact, or give it up? Impact is next, number 5 in our rankings. I gave it a D-. I expected coming in Impact to be the worst. Last time I saw any Impact was quite a few years ago. I don't know when. At least over 2 years ago. When they had a woman beating men, it was ridiculous. Sorry. That's just not realistic, and I don't like Tessa Blanchard anyway, so that didn't help. They jumped the shark, as you would say for TV shows that jump the shark and get bad, and they've never recovered since. They're apparently coming into this, I knew a little bit about it. They have help from AEW, I guess. But like this show played like a bad high school play, bad promos, bad acting, just cardboard cookie characters. Scott D'Amore running around like a chicken with his head cut off. Nothing about it was super entertaining. I don't like the fact that basically they're going for Kenny Omega to be Ultimo Dragon 2.0 and have a bunch of titles. He has the Impact title as one of those titles. I don't know. I had all cons almost on the show. I didn't like how we came into the show at the beginning of a Iron Man match. We got to see the last 10 minutes and then it went to overtime. I mean, I guess at first I didn't like it. I did like the aftermath. I got to learn more about this Josh Alexander guy. It made me care about him a little bit. So that actually did end up doing its job. I didn't like it at first. I'm trying my best to go into all of these shows with an open mind. But it's kind of hard when they're all kind of the same. They all kind of have the same format of most things. You just don't care about most of these people. That's the main theme I've gotten from these wrestling shows for a long while now. They don't give you reasons to really care most of the time. Um, and then there was like some guy named Jake something. You're gonna name yourself Jake something. Really? That's the best you can do for a name in wrestling. Not a fan. I feel like wrestling fans like that little lame joke type shit, like someone calling himself Jake something. It's not something that should be a thing. I did like the personalities of Kiera Hogan, and I don't even know all their names. I'm learning. I'm learning as I go. Basically, they had a women's tag match. I like their personalities throughout the show and kind of in the match, but also in the match, I didn't enjoy the match. It was just so. The match was just so choreographed, super choreographed. You could see it as the match is happening. So that was disappointing. But I mean, the one thing I had over New Japan for me is there was little character moments. At least some of them had personality, like these women did, and then that Josh Alexander thing. But everything else, thumbs down for Impact. Move on to number 4 show last week. I gave it the Raw, the May 31st show. It was somewhere between a D minus and a D as well. But just to have rankings, I gave it a D. It gets a notch over Impact. There was some pros to Raw, but there were a lot of cons that I just did not understand. Let me go to my notes. We have John Morrison with garlic around his neck, afraid of vampires. I didn't get that. So, I mean, I'm just coming into this having not seen these shows in a while, a long while for some of them. I don't think I've watched a full episode of Raw in probably over 3 years. This Matt Riddle, I know a little about him from social media. His character is super annoying. He's like some caffeined out dude. His interactions with Randy Orton were awkward, not good television. I'm not impressed with Rhea Ripley. Sorry. Don't know if she's an internet favorite. Don't really care. She was not good on the mic. She was another awkward. I kind of remember her a little from watching some NXT episodes a couple of years ago. Her character just seems the same as it was on NXT, which isn't great because it was a one-dimensional character in NXT, and it seems still one-dimensional now, except probably even worse because I didn't see her in character. I don't know. I didn't understand her character. I guess that's what it comes down to. Those were some of my cons. We'll get back to my cons because there's a lot of them. I'll try and give some pros. I forgot to mention at the beginning of Raw, I liked the NF theme song. I like how they came in giving a recap about what is happening. That was good for someone like me that hasn't watched in a while. So that was one of the better parts of the show. They started off good in the first couple of minutes, and then it was all downhill from there when they got to the actual substance of the show. Eva Marie promos and vignettes. Look, Eva Marie's not popular with the IWC, and the IWC was always wrong. I think Eva Marie was a great wrestling character because she was so hated. So, like, I'm happy with her coming back. She's made a name for herself outside of the WWE, whether it's online. She was on Celebrity Big Brother. We know we talk about reality shows on this channel. So I'm good with Eva Marie coming back. I kind of hope she's a heel, though. They kind of seem to be building her as a face, and I don't know if that's going to work. But if she's a heel, I think it's going to be great. The best thing on the show that I saw was Alexa Bliss. And I know she's like something with the Fiend now. I don't know the whole story because I didn't watch it. But she's like the crazy character with her doll. I don't understand it all, but I just like Alexa Bliss's work. She's always done well having a personality. She can pull off a character, which I appreciate in a wrestling show because it's few and far between, let me tell you. So Alexa Bliss was the best part of the show. Another part of the show I was iffy about. I don't know. I don't know this Reginald person feuding with Shayna Baszler. They had a match and Reginald beat her. I don't know who that helps. I don't know who the storyline is helping. He later appeared with Alexa Bliss on her little talk show thing. And then Shayna attacked him. Seems to be maybe feuding with Alexa Bliss or something to that effect. I don't know. Yeah, I think the biggest problem with Raw, like most of these shows, there was two of them were better than the others at this. Those were my top two shows that we'll get to. But Raw and Impact and New Japan just did not make me care about any of these people. I don't know who Jackson Riker is. And I don't know who that Amos guy with AJ Styles is. They didn't help me understand who they were. They had a bad tag match. And then we have Drew McIntyre defeating Kofi, I guess, to take on Bobby Lashley for the title at the next pay-per-view. I'm glad Bobby Lashley is the champion, and I'm glad he seems to have a decent character because last time I saw a Raw, it's when Leo Rush I can't talk. It's when Leo Rush was his mouthpiece, which I liked Leo Rush as his mouthpiece. I did not like Bobby Lashley's character at that time. He was acting, it was like a fool type thing. Not a fan of that, so I'm glad they've somewhat legitimized him. I've read that he's been feuding with Drew McIntyre a lot, though, and that this is probably redundant. And even coming into it, it feels weak. But I don't like Drew McIntyre, sorry. Never understood any appeal to him. I don't think he's a star, sorry. Yeah, I've just never got it. I don't care about Drew McIntyre. Like, I haven't cared about him for a decade and a half. I ain't gonna start now, sorry. But Raw gets a D, fourth place. In third place, I got Smackdown. Smackdown was almost a good show, but almost being the key word. I've heard a lot about this Roman Reigns story and the whole, like, tribal chief story. Yes, the tribal chief story with Roman Reigns. I've heard a lot about it, him and the Usos, but I haven't seen any of it. So I might have seen the vignette at Royal Rumble. I don't remember because I did watch some of the Royal Rumble this year. But they're doing good work there. That was like the main point of SmackDown. And anytime the show had anything to do with Roman or the Usos and the Usos tag matches with Rey Mysterio and Dominic, and the fact that Rey Mysterio and Dominic are the tag champions, I think that's cool. A father-son tag champion. That kind of stuff, that side of the show was good stuff. There was effort put into the storytelling between the Usos and Roman Reigns being the dickhead tribal chief, and them not executing the plan to win the tag titles is a good story. Everything else on the show was stupid or bad. Another thing SmackDown has going for they have the two best characters I've seen in wrestling. That one being Roman Reigns. I don't care if people hate Roman Reigns. I'm glad they finally made him a heel since people did hate Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is playing a great character. The other one is Bianca Belair. I think Bianca Belair is a star. I think she's always had somewhat of a character since her NXT days. It's not totally, at least in NXT, I haven't seen enough of it now to know if it has been totally fleshed out. But she's good on the mic. She has a look. However, her story with Bailey looks weird. I don't understand Bailey laughing. That was lame. The build to that doesn't seem good. Nothing else on the show impressed me outside of the Roman Reigns, Usos, Rey Mysterio, Dominic Mysterio stuff. I don't like this. I don't even know his name, Ricky Boogs or something to that effect. Didn't Elias already do this music gimmick? And Elias did it well. Elias was a good character. So yeah, I don't know. I didn't feel it. I gave SmackDown a D plus because at least the Roman stuff did take up half the show. That's why it was almost good, but everything else was a fail. Number 2, NXT. I gave it a C minus. I thought the middle of the show was good. The middle of the show had a lot of good stuff. My favorite thing on any of these shows was LA Knight, who used to be Eli Drake. That's what I know him from. I'm glad to see him in NXT with the character. They have this story with $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase. He wants to carry on the $1 Million legacy. He thinks he's the best person. Ted DiBiase comes down to watch his match. I didn't write down the guy's name properly. Cameron Grimes, I think his name is, interfered and basically cost LA Knight the match to watch Ted DiBiase see him lose to Jake Atlas. I thought that was the best executed story I saw on any of these shows. Now, there was a big con on this show, that being the first match, Pete Dunne, Kyle O'Reilly, Johnny Gargano. They're fighting to be number 1 contender. So the first match ends when Adam Cole interferes, stopping it. And then basically Adam Cole talks himself into the match for the title, which is going to be a 5-way with the champion Karrion Kross and those 4. But that just made the first half hour of the show pointless. I don't like that kind of shit. It's a waste of my time. I already don't care about most of these matches. So when you make it even more meaningless, then it's just insulting, frankly. That cost NXT from winning my rankings because that was majorly a waste of time. And I don't think any of these guys have great personalities that I've seen. I've never understood Pete Dunne. Don't get the appeal. He's just a little guy with no personality, not a fan. Kyle O'Reilly, I could see him having potential. I've never seen him be a single star. I remember him in ROH in a tag team. Gargano has done some good work in NXT that I've seen. He's grown on me on NXT from when he first came in. And then Adam Cole, I could give or take Adam Cole. I'm just being honest. Karrion Kross seems legit, but I don't know. I'll keep watching NXT, hopefully, and maybe they'll grow on me. Maybe I'll see some good work from them. What I did seeing Ember Moon back on NXT. Last time I saw her, she was on the main roster. It was not good. She was basically lost. It's good to see her with a personality. She didn't have a personality last time I saw her. So I kind of liked what they were doing. I don't know who Raquel Gonzalez is. What I will say NXT had going for it, why I did give it a C minus, because unlike the other 4 shows outside of Roman and Bianca and the Usos and Dominic and Rey Mysterio, New Japan, Jeff Cobb and Ibushi, they kind of made me care a little. But for the most part, not a lot of people on those other shows made me care. But on NXT, I wanted to see more of some of these people. I kind of want to see them develop. So NXT had that going for it, and that's why I gave it second place, a C minus. Number 1, and it surprised me, trust me, because I've given shit to Fan Guy on who really won the wrestling war regarding AEW. I do not like Tony Khan. I will probably refer to him as Tony Nepotism Khan, who can't run a good football team or soccer team to save his life. But I gave AEW the number one spot with a pretty solid C. Like I said, I was coming into this with an open mind. I've only ever watched one full episode of AEW, and that was the first ever episode of AEW Dynamite. I've seen clips here and there. I've turned the channel to it a few times over the last year and a half or however it's been on. And I even decided to skim their YouTube shows, the Dark and Dark Elevation. One thing I liked on the YouTube shows that I saw skimming, Thunder Rosa, she got one of the best promos on any of these shows, in my opinion, only because it was entertaining. And I felt like it was in a character, even though I don't know her character, it came through. So props to Thunder Rosa for the promo she cut on Dark Elevation. They're pushing Jungle Boy because he won a Battle Royal, the pay-per-view, and I think he's getting a shot at Omega for the title. I like the build they were doing with Jungle Boy on the YouTube shows because they had him beating bigger, chubbier guys. And I think that was the right way to try and get him over. As for AEW Dynamite, that first match was almost good. I got into it, I will say. The first half of the match, I was into it. And then I remembered how much I can't stand the fucking Young Bucks. The Young Bucks are the worst sellers in the history of pro wrestling. These two do not sell worth a damn. Don't care how the IWC cares about that. It's the fucking truth. The Young Bucks suck. They ruined that match from actually being a good match. Some of the pros, though, and why AEW won the week for me, I did like the Andrade debut with Vicky Guerrero. I think that's a good working relationship to make him a good heel in the company. I liked the clips I saw from the Stadium Stampede match at the pay-per-view because it looked so different. It looked like it was probably an entertaining match. So props to that. I enjoyed seeing the Inner Circle, I guess their faces now at the start of AEW. When I saw they were heels, I've always been a big Jericho fan. He's always been one of my favorites, but dude, some point you gotta hang it up. I think Jericho's washed up personally, and I'm saying this as a Jericho fan. Yeah. One thing I didn't understand, and I like them, they're very entertaining, is Private Party. I don't understand their connection to Matt Hardy. That seems like an odd connection. And Hardy's something family. Not really understanding it. I get the abbreviation means Hall of Fame, but I like this Red Velvet wrestler. She's fast. It's kind of cool seeing a fast female wrestler. Nobody else comes to mind who is quite like a cruiserweight type wrestler like she is. At least that smoothly. But overall, the first hour was really entertaining outside of the Young Bucks killing a match. It kind of ended badly, though. We had the Britt Baker burger celebration. That was odd and bad. That was bad television. And then they ended with a bull rope match. It was what it was. I've said this on Who Really Won the Wrestling War, I think already with Fan Guy, that I don't like bull rope matches. And I also don't like Dustin Rhodes beating this big, strong looking dude in 2021. Dustin Rhodes should not be beating this guy in 2021. Sorry. Overall, though, give it a C. AEW surprises me. Wins my first ever rankings. I'll try and do it again next week. I don't know how consistently I can do this, but that is Last week in pro wrestling, AEW winning the week for me as I returned to watching modern wrestling for the first time in years.